you played a brain damaging sport, right? Everybody should just admit it, right? It's not, I'm not evil because I say that.
No, it's true.
It's just tell the truth.
Yeah.
Right? Being a firefighter is a brain damaging job because they're around toxic chemicals
all the time, yeah.
Right? So if we just tell ourselves the truth, then we just rehabilitate it. But you have to do a bit more because of what you did to
my
it.
history to it, for sure.
And so
makes complete sense.
Yeah.
We've got to call a spade, right?
Thank you so much for doing this. I have read your history. I've looked at your scans. I've looked at your testing.
Yeah.
And I'm just so happy you are here.
Yeah.
Tell me your goal. What is it that would make this really meaningful to you?
Thank you for having me to start with. I've done so much work on myself, whether it be meditation or self-inquiry, all of those things. But I've had a lot of concussions in my career playing rugby and several head knocks outside of that. So I would like to know the actual structure and the health of my brain so I can take adequate and appropriate steps to create a healthier brain, which will obviously alleviate any niggles or nuances that might be occurring. Even though I'm living a fruitful and full expression life right now, there's definitely more that I would like to keep pushing the boundary to understand myself and see if there's anything linked with, what's going on in my head.
So here in the United States, we're used to looking at football.
Yeah.
Not so much with rugby. What are the big differences?
So in football, I think there's less impacts, but there are higher speed collisions and more impactful. And the fact that helmets are in the equation, it kind of takes out the safety element. So you don't have a break. It seems to be more gung-ho. Whereas in rugby in a game, you'll have probably, I would probably have 25 physical impacts, whether it be tackling or being tackled. That's low compared to other people because I'm the quarterback, which is the fly half. But consistently, we play 30 odd games a year. So if you go throughout the whole season, that's, 600 impacts as well as what you're doing in training. And then you've got a whole lifespan of it. It's just like constant grinding down. Whereas in football, I think it's just far bigger explosions and impacts in the way that they take off. Because it's and a lot of blind spots too in football. Whereas in rugby, everything's in front of us, so there's a lot of head-on-head collision.
And we have the mythology that helmets protect us from brain injuries, but they don't. Because your brain is not fixed in your skull, it floats in water. And so if you collide, right, your helmet hits someone else's helmet, or your helmet hits the ground, or your helmet hits someone's knee, it stops it. And then inside your skull, it does this, which is a bad thing.
Yeah.
So,
sure. Yeah. I always felt that when you put the helmet on, you kind of lose any sense of your dexterity or proprioception more so, and you just go without thought of anything, with no technique. Whereas in rugby, technique from a young age is drilled into us to make sure we put our shoulder and tackle with our shoulders. So that's a big difference, which is between football and rugby.
Okay. So your goal is to look at your brain and improve it.
Yeah.
Professional rugby, 10 concussions, 4 with loss of consciousness.
Yeah.
You had a brain bleed. You were hit by a bus.
Yeah.
And I noticed in the book you had this suicidal period when you were 20. But you had a number of significant concussions. before that period?
Yeah, I was 22 when I had a suicidal period. And I don't know, it could be linked to some of the head knocks, but for me it was, when I turned professional in rugby players weren't really written about in the tabloids or the media so much. It was a bit of just a back page sport, as it were. It wasn't one of the bigger ones like soccer. But for whatever reason, the media took a liking to me, and I was constantly being written about. I was constantly having photographers outside my house. They were portraying me in a way which didn't feel true to me. So when I was 22, I wasn't able to just decipher that that's what it is. When I'd walk down the street, I'd notice people would look at me, double take at me. My immediate thoughts would be they'd be saying something negative about me because I felt like that's all they were saying in the world out there. So it just ended up feeling like I had no hope for tomorrow. But yeah, so that was what happened at 22.
Well, I'm going to show you your brain, and the part of it that's hurt goes with darkness, goes with suicidal thoughts.
Okay.
And so it could have been the combination.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Right? That no one had taught you to manage your mind, which think of how crazy that is.
Yeah.
Right? That you're playing at a very high level and they're not teaching. I think we should teach everybody how to manage our minds, right? But they're not teaching you. And there's a prayer. So I've been Justin Bieber's doctor and Miley Cyrus's doctor. And the prayer is, dear God, please don't let me be famous before my brain is finished developing. And your brain doesn't finish developing until you're 25 or 26. And so worldwide fame, that's cool, but it wears out the pleasure centers in your brain. And worldwide shame, which both of them had and you had, right? It's lethal in so many ways. I'm so happy you came out the other side.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what we can improve.
So we do a study called brain SPECT imaging. And SPECT looks at blood flow and activity. It looks at how your brain works. It's different than a CAT scan or an MRI that shows the structure of your brain. And you've probably had a bunch of them over the years. And they've been fine?
Yeah, apart from when I was 17 and it showed bleeding on
when
the
you
brain.
had the
But
bleeding.
then after that, I've not had any significant
And we'll
things.
look to see if I still see evidence of a shift.
Okay.
I don't think I did, but we'll look again. And the scan tells us three things: good activity, too little, or too much.
Okay.
And my job is to balance.
Balance it out.
Right? And that's the exciting thing.
Yeah.
So here, we're going to look at it in two ways. Here we look at the outside surface of the brain. Here we're looking underneath the brain. This is going to become really important for us. So here's the front part of your brain. It's called the prefrontal cortex.
Yeah.
Largest in humans and any other animal. This controls things. Your cerebellum, your temporal lobes. Here we're looking at from one side, then the other, down from the top. It's the same brain, just different views. This shows us how active the brain is. So blue is average, red is the top 15%, white is the top 8%. And it should be here, which is not in yours. So we'll look at that. Remember I told you there's this part of your brain that's involved in darkness, and it's right here. So this is your left temporal lobe.
Left temporal
and
lobe.
It got whacked. And it sits in a cavity in the brain that's surrounded by sharp, bony ridges. So you get hit by a bus or...
It was that side as well.
Yeah. Right there. And you can have mood instability, irritability, temper problems, and dark thoughts. And so the goal is to fix that. So when you see these holes, you don't have holes in your brain.
Yeah.
They're areas that are significantly low in activity. And then here in the front part of your brain, and if you look down here, you see the dents? It's probably from being hit repeatedly.
Yeah.
And you're not wearing a helmet. at all?
I did for a bit. It was like a small foam thing, but it wasn't anything that's really protective. It was...
It's called a scrum
hat. It's called a scrum hat, but it doesn't do too much.
And are you shamed if you wear a scrum hat? Or
No, they like to try and take the mick a little bit, but it didn't bother me.
You have a lot of really good brain function now.
Okay.
I can tell 20 years before you get dementia, whether or not the scan is showing that. I don't see any of that.
Okay.
With you. So how I make these pictures is I tell the computer I want to see a certain level of brain activity. Anything below that shows up as a hole or a dent. Now, it's in statistical terms, it's 2 standard deviations below normal, which means it's really low. And so what I do is I set the threshold here to 55. That means I'm looking at the top 45% of brain activity. My experience, and I've been doing this for 33 years.
Wow.
If you do everything I ask you to do, I put it at 45, and your brain can just be beautiful and normal. So that's our goal.
Okay.
And it can happen fairly quickly if we do the right thing.
Yeah.
So I'd kill the pot, go in a hyperbaric chamber.
Yeah.
I really like them.
Okay.
I found them to be incredibly helpful. A group of supplements. That's what I did with my NFL players.
Okay.
80% of them got better.
Yeah.
Especially in their frontal lobes and in their temporal lobes.
I can definitely start doing
So
that.
this is our goal, is to get your brain fuller, fatter, healthy. And I just want you to ask yourself this one question every day. What you're doing, what you're eating, what you're thinking, what you're drinking, is this good for my brain or bad for it?
Okay.
And if you love yourself, you just make the right decision, right? Because your brain is what controls your relationships. Your brain is what controls your money. Your brain is what controls your future. You played a brain damaging sport, right? Everybody should just admit it, right? It's not, I'm not evil because I say that.
No, it's true.
It's just tell the truth.
Yeah.
Right? Being a firefighter is a brain damaging job because they're around toxic chemicals
all the time. Yeah.
Right? So if we just tell ourselves the truth, then we just rehabilitate it. But you have to do a bit more because of what you did.
Yeah, my history to it. Yeah, for sure.
And so
makes complete sense.
Yeah.
We've got to call a spade, right?
It's like, know the truth. The truth will set us free. Your emotional brain here is really busy. Busy. Everything else is really quiet. Except this very interesting part of the brain. It's called your posterior cingulate gyrus. It's sort of like the chatterbox in your head. But in Alzheimer's disease, that dies first. Yours is busy, so I'm fine with that. So let me just ask you one more question.
Yeah.
What does seeing your brain, what did you expect versus what you saw? And how do you think that'll change things for you?
It was tough for me to have any expectations because I've had so many head knocks, but I do feel sound of mind. So I was like, I'm not sure. So I came in here not knowing the areas that need improvement. I didn't think it would look as damaged as what it was, but having seen the numerous patients that have considerably improved their brain health, it doesn't concern me. So I'm not concerned by it. I know we can heal ourselves. I know we can heal our bodies through positive reaffirmation, doing the right step, taking care of ourselves, loving ourselves. I've definitely got a history of that, but this is kind of, for me, it feels like with everything that's been happening in my life, is like the last part of just like taking care of myself in a way which will give me a much fuller experience of life.
So this is where you are today. This is where we're going.
Yeah.
But if you didn't come and you continued to do sort of the bad things you do, that's where you could be going. So, and I don't do it to scare you.
No, I understand.
I do it to like go, you have a choice.
Yeah.
Like, which brain do you want?
Yeah.
And obviously you want this one. But when your habits come in, because they're habitual, like they're actually programmed in your brain. If you're used to using marijuana at this time of the day, that time of the day can just trigger. And what I want you to do when that comes in is just have the image of this. So it's like,
yeah, that's enough.
Which brain do I want?
Yeah.
No, I don't. I want a healthy one, because with a healthy one, you're going to be a better partner. You're going to have more money. You're going to be happier. If you have children, you'll
for sure
be a better dad.
No, this is perfect. I'm so happy that I got to see this.